Hey, we're talking about what you should know by the age of 40. We're in part three, and I'm going to share something that today will make you probably more money than you've ever made before. So stick around.
This is the Franchise Pitfalls and Profit Show. Each week, we bring you the challenges and triumphs of being in the franchise development and consulting business. The things you need to make money faster. And now your host, one of the most successful franchise developers in North America, Don Shin.
Hey, I'm glad you're with me. Hey, unless you went to college to learn a very specific skill or profession like engineering, or you wanted to be an attorney or a doctor, you can make more money by just learning how to sell. And today, that's what I want to talk to you about. It may seem a bit unconventional, especially in society today that really places so much emphasis on a college degree. While college can be essential, I believe in it. I believe in going away to school. I believe a lot of life experiences can be gained. I personally, my closest friends in life, most of them came from my college days. Um, and if you're pursuing a specific highly technical field, yeah, you're going to need to go to college. And learning how to do those things can be very rewarding and certainly can be very lucrative. In fact, unless you're on a strict professional track that requires specialized knowledge, I'm going to tell you though that sales skills can often provide you with a lot more flexibility and financial freedom and to a higher degree. So, first, let's start talking about the power of selling. Sales isn't just about selling some company's products or services. It's really about understanding the human being. It's about understanding human behavior. It's about mastering persuasion and influence, and it's about creating genuine value for others. The best salespeople that I know, they've got great listening skills. They know how to listen. They know how to identify somebody's interests, somebody's needs, and they know how to provide solutions. They connect people's needs with solutions. Their skills really go beyond really any specific industries. It enables salespeople to adapt to almost any market and almost any environment. And if you're good at selling, candidly, you're going to be in great demand in almost any field. You're really not going to be limited to what you've studied in college, and you're really not going to be constrained by any specific career path, as you may often be in a specific profession, again, like your engineering or your law or your healthcare. And that's because selling provides solutions and solves problems. You become almost a problem solver, not just really being a sales person. I think sales is one of the few professions where you can really enter it with minimal formal education, and you can start making a respectable income pretty quickly. Your potential is really determined by the amount of effort, strategies that you can develop, and skills, rather than what you need to do in order to earn a diploma. Again, it's about the effort that you put in. Sales is often considered a high income skill. So let's look at it from that perspective. Salespeople often have the highest income, candidly, or highest income potential within a company. I remember the company that I worked for the longest in my careers. They actually capped the salespeople because I think some of the executives in the company were actually somewhat bruised egos, maybe to say it, or really concerned that somebody, because they were all from engineering and professional backgrounds, and I think they felt, hey, this these sales guys are making more money than we are, and they didn't really have a lot of respect for the abilities that the salespeople had. But in most companies, that's not the case. In most companies, it's the highest income potential position, because you're not limited. Even if you're on a salary plus a commission, you're most times you're not limited by what you can make. Your The effort that you put in and what you do directly relates to the value that you bring to the company. The better you are at sales, the more you're going to earn. And I think this is why, again, often in sales, it's referred to as a high income skill. It's a skill set that opens doors to six figure, and in some professions, even seven figure incomes. And again, often without any specific formal education in that space. My personal story about getting into sales: I was working for a Fortune 500 company, and I took. In fact, I had often said I'll never go in sales, which is kind of ironic today. But I took the route of taking on an office management, or more of an administrative, inside in the office type position. And it happened to be one that was in a sales office. So we were supporting salespeople. And you know what? I saw the amount of money that they were making. And after seeing how much they did and seeing what their individual capabilities were, honestly, I said to myself, I'm better than 80% of the guys and girls that are out there doing this. And so, you know what? I took the plunge to go into the sales profession myself. I jumped into action. I started to interview for available sales positions in my area. And I finally took one. And interestingly, upon submitting my resignation letter, one of the sales managers pulled me aside and said, "Hey, I always thought you were really, really sharp. I know you can do this position. I'm going to offer you a sales position within the company." Well, I still left because I had made a commitment to that other company. And I also felt like, hey, where was this guy all along in identifying talent? So I left, and it was a great decision. I think sales skills are incredibly versatile. People that sell are incredibly versatile. Let's say you start selling real estate, for example. You can take those sales skills that you've learned there and you can apply them to a new industry. Maybe you can go into software sales, or maybe you can go into consulting, and you're still going to be successful. I took office copier, office equipment sales into a highly technical sales field, where I was working with engineers and selling them and designing in to certain strict electronics specifications. We were specking in and selling our components. I've then since transitioned that into the franchise world and franchise sales. So your income isn't limited to what you do in any one particular field or any one particular company. You can move between sectors, as I did. You can choose environments where you're happiest. You can maximize your potential earnings by moving into a different field or a different industry. Another thing that's really interesting, I think, about sales, and this is the way I approach my sales territories. That is, it's a very entrepreneurial. I find that salespeople really are equipped to be more entrepreneurial, have that more entrepreneurial mindset. I often ran my sales territories very much like it was a standalone business. I knew my numbers. I knew my sales numbers, my conversion rates, and my number of leads, and so forth. When you learn to sell, you're essentially learning to run a business. You find clients, you address their needs, you solve their problems, you sell them a product or a service. You provide them with value, you create value. These are skill sets that entrepreneurs need and have in order to be successful. I think a lot of entrepreneurs start out in sales, or at least that's my experience, because they understood the foundation of any business is really going to be marketing and sales, attracting people into their business, and again, solving problems, delivering a service or a product that's going to be solving that customer's problems. Without sales, nothing else happens in a company. This is what, again, that large company that I worked for, where they often felt as engineers, they felt that their products sold themselves. And the reality was, in the long run, that was not the case. That hurt them in the long run. The revenue that drives every operation, regardless of whether it's a Main Street small business, local startup, all the way up to Fortune 500 companies, it always begins with the ability to make a sale, to determine a need and solve a problem, and create value and make the sale. Someone with sales experience understands that customer acquisition component. They understand what's going on in the market, the market demand, and they understand the importance of relationships and client relationships. They know how to close deals. They sustain a company's cash flow. And all of this is crucial to growing and scaling any business. Now, sales isn't just a professional skill. I think it can be a life skill. Imagine going to a job interview. At the core of that job interview is you're trying to sell yourself at the end of the day. You're trying to be attractive to a prospective employer. Social relationships, we're communicating with others, we're negotiating plans, we're advocating for our needs or somebody else's needs. Again, these are all things, basically sales skills or selling skills that you're using in life. Sales builds resilience, emotional intelligence, self-confidence, if you will. When you learn to sell, you learn how to handle rejection, because in most businesses, you're rejected more than you're successful. So you get to learn to adapt, to evaluate whether you've done well or not, or what you are doing well, and consistently doing what works well. You get to deal with and consider people who have different behavioral styles and different personalities. Sometimes you got to think on your feet. Wow, something came at you in a sales situation that you weren't expecting, and you handled it. Again, all of these experiences help you in all of your personal areas of life, help you in your personal relationships, helps with your self-esteem, and again, as I said earlier, your self-confidence. And in many ways, that selling is about empowering yourself to create opportunities and find solutions, regardless of what the circumstances are, again, in your business, but also in your life. I told my children as they were growing up, in their teen ages, in high school through college, I said, learn how to influence people, learn how to communicate, learn people skills, because that's going to differentiate you no matter how strong technology became. This was going to differentiate you. My son took up the engineering profession. He's a computer engineer, but I was very impressed with his college courses and his college structure and curriculum, because it required him at times to work in teams, to build relationships, to work together, to communicate, to influence the people on their team. Sometimes to manage the people when they weren't doing their part of the teamwork. One of the other things that my son had to do in one of his engineering internships, he had to make a presentation. He had to to explain what he was working on in the company and make a presentation to some colleagues and management people in that internship. So all of this was good for someone like him that was probably not naturally a people person. So let's look at a few other examples. That's one example. It's what I did with my children. It's an example of my son. Let's look at some examples of some people that you would know. These are what the world considers very successful people. And you know what? They didn't start with college degrees. They started in sales. One example, Mark Cuban, who's a billionaire. We see him on Shark Tank a lot now, owner of Dallas Mavericks. He got his start selling garbage bags, eventually moved into selling software. Hey, there's a big transition and difference in industries. And then it led him down the overall incredible success path that he's been on. Another one is Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is one of the world's most recognized self-help gurus and motivational speakers. He started his career in selling seminars, and then through learning sales skills, he built a global brand. He built his own name and a global brand. These are just examples that show the value of sales. Shows that it's not just about selling products or services, but it's about creating a path of personal success, life success, and as well as professional growth. You know, it teaches you it teaches your work ethic. It teaches you how to hustle, teach you how to take control of situations, take control of your career, and how to carve out a niche in the professional, in the business world. You know, let's remember, I always, when I'm talking about sales, and this was one of my early perceptions as well, and that is that, sales is just being pushy. Sales is just being aggressive, and I don't want to do that or deal with that with people. But real sales is about creating solutions. It's about building relationships, and it's about adding value to others. It's about helping create demand and fulfill the demand, no matter how much is going on with the job market or how much might be going on with the economy. A great friend of mine and mentor of mine, Jeffrey Gitomer, says that selling is professionally helping people buy. So it is a profession. It's not about tactics, smooth talking, or any type of aggressive actions or techniques. Sales skills can open doors sometimes that a college degree cannot. And unlike a lot of professions that can get outdated, or knowledge that can get outdated, the ability to connect with others, the ability to adjust to other industries, the ability to understand needs and build relationships, these things are never going to go out of style. So what should you do to start gaining some sales skills? Well, what I'm going to share here, honestly, are probably the things you should do to get better at any profession that you might be in. But let's stay focused on sales. Here goes. One of the things is read. There are a number of incredible books on sales. Surveys, unfortunately and disappointingly, surveys have showed that many people in this profession just don't work at getting better at what they do. And so they don't read books. But I want to encourage you, if you have little to no exposure in sales, go buy some books. It's the easiest, least expensive thing that you can do to start to learn how to sell. The tools and the resources are out there. Again, I mentioned Jeffrey Gitomer. Jeffrey's book is The Little Red Book of Selling. It's one of his many books. I think Jeffrey's up to 17 or 18 books now. I think that was his original book, or maybe his second book, and it is fantastic. It's an oldie but a goodie, but it's fantastic. Todd Duncan is another gentleman, several different books with specific pieces of selling or types of selling, but Todd Duncan books are very, very good. If you want to get a little bit more current, a gentleman by the name of Jeb Blount has a couple of really good books out there, but one of them on sales is called Sales EQ. So go out, read. It's a simple way to start learning about selling. Another thing I would do is to do some training, get some education. There's a lot of things that are free, podcasts that are free, but there are online courses that you can take. So do as many as you have the time and the money to do. And then third, and the last tip I'm going to give today, and I'm not a huge fan of this in general, but if you want to learn how to market and sell, this is a fantastic, inexpensive way to do it. Learning how to influence people. And it's through what's called MLMs, multi-level marketing groups, networking, network marketing programs. The top programs do a phenomenal job of teaching you how to market yourself, how to sell both yourself and products. They're just really phenomenal to give you an immersion into the world of marketing and selling. So your companies like your Amways, old company used to be Tupperware. I think Avon is still around. A company called Market America is still around. Herbalife. They're just not that expensive to get involved in, and yet they teach you an incredible amount of sales and marketing skills. I used to have some friends that would invite me, and I would go just for the learning experience. So let's wrap it up. If you want to learn how to sell, if you can sell, candidly, you'll never be unemployed. If you can sell and you can show that you have a proven track record, you can go to any company in almost any field, and you're going to be able to just get a job. You're going to be able to be employed. No one's going to care whether you have a degree or not if you have a track record of successful sales. And the selling profession is a high income profession. You'll make more money. So I'm encouraging you to go out and do it, create your own chances. And you know what? Just doing that alone, taking that action, you know what? That is selling.